The Redskins have a ton of needs heading into the 2019 offseason, and not a lot of capital to fill them. As things currently stand, the Redskins are likely to have around $18 minus $20 million in cap space once the new league year opens in March. There are only 9 teams with less projected cap space than the Skins. The Redskins do, however, have some additional compensatory draft picks this year, giving them a total of 9 selections, 4 in the top 100. But can the front office create even more for 2019, and maybe even 2020? I have been flirting with the idea that the Redskins should trade back, and even out of the first round altogether in 2019 if they don't see a can't-miss prospect at pick number 15. The key here is quarterback. For me, trading up in this draft is out of the question. We need as many picks as we can both now and in the future. If the Redskins have a passer like Drew Lock drop into their laps at number 15, it may be wise for them to pull the trigger. However, let's assume for a minute that the top 3 passers are all taken by the time the Redskins are on the clock. Aside from quarterback, edge, wide receiver, defensive back and left guard are all team needs, but all 4 positions have decent depth after round 1. It's also very likely that at least one of these spots, if not more, will be filled by a free agent. There are 2 scenarios I like here in a trade back option. Obviously, the biggest concern is finding a willing trading partner. Scenario 1, an elite player slides to pick 15. The Redskins trade back to a team picking somewhere in the later part of the first round, and in addition receive that team's second and say maybe 4th round picks this year. Scenario 2, an elite player, maybe even a quarterback, falls to pick 15. The Redskins trade out of the first round altogether with a team who has already selected, and acquire a second and third in 2019 and 2020 first. Like I mentioned above, either one of these scenarios would require a willing trading partner, but the goal would be simple: acquire more picks either this year, or next, or both, and focus on a rebuild. A rebuild. The idea of a rebuild sounds preposterous to many, but let's keep in mind that rebuilds in the NFL don't need to take years like they may have in the past. They do, however, need smart, calculated moves and wise draft picks that make an impact early on. The rebuild would obviously focus around the quarterback spot. If the Redskins were able to move back in this year's draft, either for additional picks this year, or even better, an additional 2020 first-round pick, I'd like to see them select a developmental quarterback later in the 2019 draft, while focusing their efforts on getting some playmakers on both sides of the ball this year. The 2020 draft looks to be very strong at quarterback, and the Skins could target their future at the position then. Tua Tagovailoa, QB, Alabama; Justin Herbert, QB, Oregon; Jake Fromm, QB, Georgia; Jacob Eason, QB, Washington; Shea Patterson, QB, Michigan; KJ Costello, QB, Stanford. There is a very good chance the Redskins will not be very good in 2019, thus netting them a top draft pick in 2020. If they had 2 first-round picks in 2020, they could position themselves nicely for a player they covet, or simply use both picks to further improve their team. It would be nice to have some pieces in place for a new franchise quarterback to walk into in 2020. 58%, 463 votes, 11%, 89 votes, 30%, 241 votes, 793 votes total. Vote now.